In these podcasts, I'm going to try to go through the content pretty quickly because they can get old pretty quickly. So if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to contact me. So in Chapter 1, we're going to talk about the basic concepts, some basic terminology in e-business and e-commerce. I can get this to work. Okay, let's start with trends. Everything changes so fast that what was happening, I can remember 5-10 years ago when eBay was the big thing, and static websites were hot and all that stuff, and everything just keeps transforming so radically. What I have here is I searched to find some different sources because some of you like to really dive into the content and read the articles and get absorbed with it. But for the sake of time, I'm only going to show you a couple of short videos. This first one I'll show you in a second, but in reality there were some trends that have been really persistent, and that includes cloud-based systems, mobile trends, and social media. That has continued to grow and thrive, and we'll be touching on those. But some new ones that have been emerging, especially for 2017, are artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, virtual reality, and cybersecurity. All of those just have been exploding. It's interesting, some people say that big data analytics was very yesterday. But anyway, let's start with showing you this quick video right here. And it kind of summarizes all these trends nicely. Okay, so that was one, and you did notice there was a lot of emphasis on artificial intelligence, virtual reality, enhanced security, which is huge, and so on. And let me show you one more real quick here. Here's some interesting e-commerce trends. So I have to say, this woman in the video is, and don't tell her I said this, but she's incredibly annoying. I think she's really a robot pretending to be a human, but this video does have good comments, so content, so bear with her. So here we go.
What does the future of e-commerce hold? As e-commerce grows in popularity, certain trends have emerged that will shape the way we shop. Today we'll feature some trends that will shape the future of e-commerce in 2017. Consumer pre-purchase behavior. According to Adweek, 81% of shoppers conduct online research before they make a purchase, and there's a great deal of information available to them. In fact, there's so much data, many consumers are overwhelmed and frustrated. Tools such as Shopsta, which consolidate information and streamline the research process, have become quite popular. Analysts and industry experts predict these tools will only grow in popularity in the future. A true omni-channel experience. A few years ago, the term omni-channel experience referred to a seamless customer journey across a bricks-and-mortar outlet, a desktop, and a mobile device. Now e-commerce developers have begun to offer an expanded omni-channel experience to consumers. At Shopify's recent conference, the platform introduced 7 new integrated sales channels: Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Amazon, Who's, Ebates, and Wanaloo. These sales channels make it easier for e-tailers to reach consumers on the channel of their choice and offer a consistent experience. Beacons. Technology has empowered customers to an unprecedented degree. They want personalized deals available on the device of their choice. Beacon technology enables retailers to provide those tailored deals. When a customer walks into a store, a Beacon device communicates with his or her cell phone and pushes a coupon or other special offer. Depending on the shopper's device and whether or not he or she has an app for that store, retailers can gain insight into that person's shopping history. The marketing firm Smart Insights predicts that by 2018, there will be a 3.5 billion active beacons installed. By the end of 2016 alone, beacons will have driven up retail sales to $44 billion. Marketing automation. Beacons aren't the only way retailers can offer personalized deals to shoppers. The online publication VentureBurn suggests that online retailers can take advantage of marketing automation to customize the shopping experience. While retailers have been sending out personalized emails for quite some time, they can tailor landing pages and shopping carts to meet customers' needs. Moreover, their sites can automatically display recommended products based on the user's purchase history or the items he or she viewed during the last visit to the site. More online shopping days. Traditionally, Black Friday was a big shopping day in North America. That changed with the rise of e-commerce. Now Cyber Monday dominates. China's Singles' Day, November 11th, seems poised to overtake Black Friday and Cyber Monday. In 2015, it earned retailers more money than Black Friday and Cyber Monday combined. In 2017, such online shopping days will become more frequent and more lucrative for online-only retailers, as well as bricks-and-mortar players with an online presence. If you enjoyed today's topic, be sure to tune in next time, and don't...
Okay, so she was informative, just a little annoying. However, let's keep going on here. Alrighty. Okay, let's see. Alright, that's some basic trends, some e-commerce trends, mobile trends. Let's see here. Mobile is becoming huge, of course. So I hope you're noticing some trends here. Personalization, customization, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, mobile, of course, mobile everything. One of these that I don't remember exactly which one it was looking at some research saying that people actually, even though everyone's on their smartphones all the time, they're still not quite ready to purchase from the mobile phone. Most people like to use their phones to search, but many people go back to their laptops to actually make purchases, and it's interesting to see if you do this as well. I'm not going to get into B2B. I did want to show you the social media one because, as I mentioned, social media is an enduring platform that is just huge in B2B and B2C, which I'll talk about in a second. I hope you noticed the integration. That was a social media video, but I hope you noticed the integration of social media, mobile, artificial intelligence, the chat box, the personal assistants, apps, all integrated into one integrated space. And I think you'll be noticing this more, that the confluence of all these different platforms coming together for a seamless experience. Okay, let's see. As I just mentioned, I'm not going to go into the B2B. Well, I'm going to get into that in greater detail when we get to Chapter 5, Supply Chain Management. And I actually didn't find any great examples. I'm not going to show you this one either, but you might consider taking a look at it in your own time. It's just a really cool futuristic view that Microsoft put together of how the world, the Internet of Things, the Internet of Everything with mobile, social, apps, the whole world will be fully integrated in their futuristic view. So again, just because of time, I'm not going to show this one, but you might want to take a look at it. It's really kind of cool. Okay, so now just a few basic concepts, and then we'll call it a chapter. All right, so what's the difference between e-commerce and e-business? Well, e-commerce is what you and I are most familiar with. It's shopping on the web. It's like Amazon.com, JCPenney.com, LLbean.com, and so on. There's millions of them. And when we get to revenue models, I'll be showing you a whole bunch of different examples. So that's e-commerce. We all know e-commerce. E-business is basically what we call B2B, business to business, and it's everything in the supply chain up to the point where a retailer sells to the consumer. So as we'll be going into when we get to Chapter 5, procurement, processing, manufacturing, work in progress, middle intermediaries, suppliers, logistics, everything, financial transactions, the whole space is e-business. And that, I'll show you a slide in just a second that kind of gives you a visual. But the statistics that I used to hear is that if you look at total volume of transactions, e-commerce was about 3%, and e-business or B2B was about 97% of all transactions on the web. So that gives you an idea of the immensity of e-business. And you'll see this as we get further into the course, especially with Chapter 5. Okay, another term, .com or pure play. They say pure.com, but pure play is another term, is a web-only business. And of course, Amazon used to be a pure play web-only business, but I have actually read that they're going the other way. They're starting to open up some retail sites. LL Bean, of course, which started off as a catalog company with their flagship store, they would be called a click and mortar. A brick and mortar is like a mom and pop. All they have is a physical presence, the local store on the corner. That's a brick and mortar. Click and mortar is what most businesses are today, where they have a physical presence and a web presence, like JCPenney, LL Bean, everybody pretty much. So along these same lines, e-commerce would be B2C, business to consumer, like llbean.com or amazon.com. B2B, e-business, is business to business, and as I just mentioned, it's all these things: e-procurement, purchasing, selling, procurement, logistics, manufacturing, and so on and so forth. All of that, we'll get into this again. Another one, C2C, consumer to consumer. I guess the best example of that would be Craigslist. Used to be eBay, but they've transformed themselves. They're really more of kind of a small business B2C. They still have a little bit of individuals on there, but not so much anymore. And then business to government, that's really business to government and business to consumer is also huge, because the government works with consumers and businesses electronically, and they've really made a massive shift to doing everything online for efficiency. So that has become an enormous space on the web. Okay, right. We've talked about that. Okay. All right. So in the B2B space, business activities, processes are anything that you do in the value added chain, in the supply chain, to ultimately get a product or service to a consumer. And so all the different processes all contribute to the virtual B2B space. Let's say virtual accounting. If you go onto LL Bean and purchase some LL Bean boots, your order is going to go into their inventory database, which is going to be sending an automated inventory management request to reduce that by one. It's going to send an automated process to the accounting system for the the financial transactions, the accounting transactions. But everything that you do to support the ultimate sales to the consumer are transactions. And so let me show you this here. And I think this is actually not even terribly accurate, because again, the B2C I think is much smaller than this. And the B2B, the supply chain, and then all the other transactions, like the financial transactions and so on, are all so immense compared to the B2C. So anyway, it's just a little statistic. But if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about getting into a web space, of course, a lot of people like to do B2C and it's fun and so on, but where the real opportunity is in the B2B space as an entrepreneur. Okay, so we talked about this already, C2C, B2G, I don't know why it's in there twice. Okay, let's see, that's just more of the same. Okay, the B2C space is pretty immense, and like I said, we'll get into this more in Chapter 3, but in general, there are still a few things that are not completely suited for e-commerce. So if you remember back in the day of when Amazon first started its business, books and CDs were what they started with, and then strong brands like LL Bean and so on, they're really good. Software, digital content, and so on, travel, and lots of things are very well suited. Some things use a combination of e-commerce and traditional commerce, like automobiles. A lot of people use the web to research, and then they'll go into test drive and purchase from a dealer, although with cars.com and some of the others you don't even have to do that. Banking and financial services uses a combination. There's all kinds of things, so those are kind of an intermediate. And then some things that are better for just regular commerce are when you go into Walmart and there's an end cap with a new type of Hershey's chocolate bar, that's an impulse purchase. You're not going to wait for it to order it online and get it in 3 days. You want it now. So all those kind of purchases. Plus, people still like shopping. It's, the term retail therapy. People like it. It's kind of fun. So a lot of retail is still better suited for the traditional experience. And then they talk about unbranded goods, but also on the other extreme luxury goods are also oftentimes better for a traditional experience. If you're going in to buy a $50,000 Rolex watch, are you real or a designer, $30,000 Gucci dress? I mean, how many of us do either of these things? But just for example, most likely you're going to go into the store and for the experience and for that kind of product. So some things still are not really that suited for e-commerce. I want to bring up this term real quickly to you. EDI, which stands for Electronic Data Interchange. This is the technology that facilitates and enables e-commerce and e-business. It's the exchange of data across the web, and it's been around for quite a while. Back in 20, 30, 40 or so years ago, the giant corporations like General Electric, General Motors, and their major suppliers had proprietary way to send documents back and forth electronically to save a lot of time and money. But it was expensive. The technology just wasn't there. And then as the evolution of the web continued and something called XML, Extensible Markup Language, which we'll get to in a later chapter, came along, the ability to send and receive documents and automate pretty much every process, from ordering and invoices and so on, everything, it just reduces costs and increases efficiency so dramatically that has what has powered the phenomenal growth in the web. And it's all because of this system called EDI, which creates these electronic documents and transmits them between different suppliers and different businesses. So it's just a term that you should be familiar with. Okay. Very quickly, advantages, of course, the e-commerce and e-business opens the world to us. What's that expression? The world is our oyster. I mean, you can get anything anywhere now. If you want something from China, you can go onto a Chinese website. If you want coffee from South America or Africa, you can find it. I mean, you may not get it directly, but there's different, that idea of innovation and intermediaries on the web is so extreme. That people have formed these great businesses. Again, let's say organic fair trade coffee. You form a website and you do your research, you do your due diligence, and you find these unique suppliers. You might have to travel and set up suppliers in remote areas. But anyway, you can bring anything to people across the world by the web. And as a consumer, it gives you a lot more power because you can search and you can understand what's available, what it costs, and so on, whereas before it was very difficult and you were kind of at the mercy of the big businesses. So it's a phenomenal thing. There are so a couple of examples here for business, for B2B. Let's see. If most hospitals and doctors adopted health information technologies like electronic patient records and so on, the potential efficiency savings for both the inpatient and outpatient care could average $77 billion per year. That's kind of a lot of money. Reduce hospital stays because of increased safety, better scheduling, coordination, reduce nurses' time, more efficient drug utilization, and so on. Computerized physician order entry systems reduces errors. There's tons of examples, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with in the discussion forum. But I think you can see that in general, B2C and B2B are just immense. It was in Chapter 1 also in the textbook. Okay, I'll just take 2 minutes to go through this because in the consulting project, after you create your team contract, your first big deliverable is going to be your SWOT plus your industry analysis and benchmarking. And I have detailed instructions in Blackboard and examples in Blackboard, but since we're on this slide, let me just give you a 30,000 foot overview of the SWOT. If you're a consultant, how can you possibly help a client, add value to a client, help them make better decisions if, number one, you don't understand their business? And that's where the strengths and weaknesses come in here. You really have to dig deep and try to understand your client as much as you can. What are their strengths? Is it their brand? Is it their even though we're not going to ask for any finances in general, you probably have an idea if they're in good financial shape or bad financial shape. Is it their product line? Is it their quality? Is it their people? Do they have extraordinary people, customer service, management processes? Is it their technologies, their automation? What is it that makes them great? And on the flip side, what are they really bad at? What's causing them major problems? Again, maybe they don't have any marketing. Maybe they have no brand. Maybe they don't use any technologies. They're so inefficient. The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. So that's step number one. Really dig down, explore as much as you can about the strengths and weaknesses of your client. And then step two is, what are the things that are going to impact your client? And let me just tell you really quickly here what confuses most people, most students, both undergraduate and MBA students as well. Even though you're working professionals, it's still, people get confused between tactics and opportunities. Somebody say, oh, well, an opportunity for them is they could do more advertising. Yeah, so that means nothing. That means absolutely nothing. An opportunity is that if your client is a small mom and pop restaurant, what are the trends? Consumer trends in gluten-free, in organic, in locally sourced, in new emerging flavors, and ethnic entrees or whatever. You need to do valid research. What is happening out there? What are consumers looking for? That's an opportunity. Saying, oh, they can do more advertising is a tactic, and it actually means nothing anyway. So if you put that down, that means nothing because it says nothing. It's just sweeping generality. So you can't do that. So consumer trends. What about the legal environment with a new administration? The world's been turned upside down. Some people have benefited from it. An opportunity, like if regulations have been lifted on inspections in food service, that saves you money. Is it ethical? Should you stop inspecting? Well, that's a whole other story. But regulations can have a huge impact on your business. If you're slapped with new regulations, that's going to be a huge threat. Let's see. In terms of threats, competitors. I mean, what is your differential advantage? What are your competitors doing that you can learn from? Who are they? What are they doing? Why are they beating you? What are they doing better than you? What can you learn from them? All this stuff I have in the guidelines, but I mostly want you to understand that this is valid research on what is happening out there in the environment. What are consumers doing? What are competitors doing? What are regulations? What's the economy doing? If we're in a recession and people can't afford your product, what are you going to do? It's a huge threat. You're going to have to deal with that. Other economic factors can present opportunities for you if we're going through a surge and the unemployment is low and people have more money to spend and so on. And of course, we'll be talking a lot about technologies, although if you look at the consulting project, there's two separate sections dealing with technologies. However, you should at least look at technologies on a broad level. What does your company have? What do they not have for strengths and weaknesses? Opportunities. What are some new emerging technology that we just talked about? Artificial intelligence, mobile platforms, apps, customization, Internet of Things, sensors. What are opportunities that could help your client in some way, help them improve, become more efficient, lower costs, reach customers better? Are there threats? If you were a local coffee shop and you looked at the technologies out there and you saw that Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks were doing a phenomenal job leveraging social, mobile, apps, artificial intelligence, and you're a small business, you're going to say, I can't afford that. How can I possibly compete with them? Well, at least you're aware of it, and then you can look at, is there anything as you go through the consulting project, that could help them leverage that. So, all right, that's in a nutshell, chapter 1, just sort of a basic overview and introduction. Again, please keep me posted if you have any questions at all. And on that, I will close this and look forward to seeing your thoughts and comments in the discussion forum. Thank you.